So an interesting question when I started. I don't know how old I was when I started at the Sholem Aleichem Folk Shul. There was a Sholem Aleichem Folk Shul in Great Neck on Middle Neck Road that then, and I started there, and I want to guess that maybe I was around 7. And then that it moved to Little Neck Parkway, I think, on the other side of the Long Island Expressway in a YHMA or something. Is that what it's called? YMHA? I don't know. And so I went all the way through the graduation. So that was probably about 6 or 7 years of Yiddish school. It was Sunday mornings, probably 9 to noon or something. And it started out, as I remember, well, I guess it was probably the same all the way through. Some amount of learning to read Yiddish, learning some Yiddish vocabulary, but then also there was some amount of kind of Bible study and learning about the prophets and learning about Judaism and Jewish culture that went up through all 6 or 7 years. I think that the religious part of it really was teaching this is what Judaism is rather than this is what is true. So the Sholem Aleichem Folk Shul and Folk Institute was essentially a somewhat atheistic organization. We were not taught how to pray, for example, in Yiddish school, even though we were taught what was in the Torah and we were taught other things about Jewish history and about the other books that are part of the Jewish collection of literature. There was no praying, and there was no education about here's what a typical or traditional service is like in a temple. That didn't exist in Sholem Aleichem, and that was the same about Boybrik as well. In Boybrik there was some attempt at teaching some Yiddish. I don't know whether, so my recollection of it is that might not have lasted for all 4. I was there for 4 years, and my sense is that maybe that started and then stopped, and I don't know if it started and stopped because they only did it with kids a certain age and then they didn't do it with the older kids, or if they just at some point realized it was a lost cause, that the kids were coming into it without enough connection to Yiddish to really make it work. But the songs, the camp songs, continued to be in Yiddish. And so that was still an important part of Boybrik. And I hope you don't ask me to sing any Yiddish songs from Boybrik. I won't do it. I can't. I wouldn't be able to do it without the song sheets anyway at this point. But I wouldn't do it. It'd end up on the internet forever, and I won't be able to live with that. That was probably my Yiddish education. I would say also I have a recollection of sitting on my other grandfather's lap and having him teaching me the alphabet, teaching me the Hebrew alphabet. Maybe some recollection of doing that a little bit with Zeyde Simon as well. So it wasn't completely, only in the context of the Sholem Aleichem Folk Shul. For Passover, we learned how to read the 4 questions in Yiddish and in Hebrew. So that was, I guess we memorized them as much as reading them, and recited them. So I'm not sure I remember actually seeing it written in Yiddish and reading it as a kid. But I should say also that from a Jewish education point of view, one of my big regrets is turning down my zeyde's offer to do a bar mitzvah. And This was really, I think the offer was, I might have even already been 13. I'm not sure. But it was probably within the last year of his life. And I really had no idea what to do with this because the idea of praying was just so alien to me, and it was so alien to how I grew up and sort of my Jewish family life, that it was like, why would I want to learn how to pray? I mean, this just seemed completely bizarre. But, you know, obviously in retrospect, it was a tremendously lost opportunity to connect with him in a way that would have really been memorable and valuable to me. I don't know, and I think that the reason that he wanted to or offered to tutor me was because he realized how little we had gotten out of the Sholem Aleichem shuls and how much actual learning, or how little actual learning, we had accomplished there. And I think that he felt he could augment that in a way that would be genuine. It would be Jewish education without necessarily being God-related. He wasn't trying to convert me to being a believer. There's a discussion in the family about whether he became a believer or not, and I'm highly skeptical of anybody who thinks that he did, or of that idea. But I'm reasonably certain that his sole motivation in offering to tutor me, to do a bar mitzvah, was to give him something, or give me something that he could contribute, just from a knowledge and an education point of view, without it being a religious statement.